Good evening everyone. Today in this video we will fight against the advanced character of our world around us, and this time we will come back to history. In this video we will talk about the book written by the French historian who is still alive. He was born in 1930, Paul Veyne, very known specialist who works and produced many good books and articles on the Greco-Roman antiquity. Really one of the leading figures in the field. I really like and respect his works. Many of them were translated into other languages, including English. One of the books he wrote recently, actually his recent book, he wrote at the end of 2015, is the book entitled Palmyra, Irreplaceable Treasure. He wrote this book as a tribute to his friend, Syrian archaeologist, who was killed by bandits from some fanatical organization. I don't like this word terrorist because it tells nothing and at the same time it tells everything, so it means it's meaningless. Like I don't like the term Islamic State because it tells everything, telling nothing. Simply bandits financed by some external forces whose real goal is to destabilize Middle East. And unfortunately, many people were killed and many historical sites, human heritage, cultural heritage was destroyed. And Mr. Vane was deeply touched by the tragic death of his friend in the summer 2015 that he quickly wrote this short book, which was later translated into many languages. And this book offers a nice view on the Palmyra's culture, Palmyra's structure, and Palmyra's history with respect to Greco-Roman world. Why is Palmyra so unique? Because it was a city, actually fully functional city according to the definition, belonging to the Greco-Roman world, but still connected with nomadic Aramaic and Arabic communities living around, and also its population was mainly Aramaic speaking, but it was for long slowly getting also infiltrated by the cousins of Aramaic people, Arabs, and the population was mixed. Of course, there were smaller groups of Romans and Greeks. Many people in Palmyra accepted Hellenistic Greco-Roman cultures, not only from the ruling elite of the city, but also from the lower layers of the society. Actually, their polytheism, like majority of polytheism in the antiquity, was characterized by the huge level of hospitality towards new gods and goddess. And now I would like to say also few words about Mr. Vane. Why I like this historian? Not only because his great books I really enjoy as a fan of classical ancient history also. Mr. Vane, as almost majority of French intellectuals of his generation, when he was studying history at the French universities, of course he started his adventure as a member of French Communistic Party since of the young age. But after 1956, the mind and the consciences of some people who still were able to use their brains and who still had some consciousness were really profoundly touched by the events of 1956 when Red Army crushed brutally the protests in Hungary, and some of these people abandoned Communistic Party. Mr. Vane also did it, and he dedicated himself with a huge profits for all of us and for also science. He dedicated more to history with very good effects. And I really like the way how the book is written because it's really short, but it's full of information, and it's really very much one can feel emotional attachment of the author to the topic he is writing about. I really like the chapter that beautifully describes the Palmyra arts that was affected by the Greco-Roman styles and had many Greco-Roman influences, but still preserved local Semitic Aramaic features. The same, the construction of the temples that from the outside, when one looked at them, they aren't existing anymore, unfortunately, since summer 2015, because they were blown up. But when one looks from outside at these temples, they seem to be classical Greco-Roman temples. But when one goes to the details of ornaments and other additional minor elements, one can see a typical Palmyric Syrian influences. And Palmyra belongs like Emesa, another city in Syria, belongs to the group of examples of nations that they were regarding themselves as Roman citizens, as Romans, but they at the same time preserved their own identity, which is really good and deserves to be prized, and it's really worthy of being given as an example of positive uh, coexistence of culture, collaboration of nations, and at the same time preserving your own identity. Of course, in this book, one couldn't miss the most dramatic period of the Palmyrian history, which is the reign of Odenathus, great leader, later followed by the reign of his wife Zenobia, also a great female leader, who was defeated by the greater leader Aurelianus, unifier of the Roman world. And I was really surprised because, in my opinion, Zenobia survived and she lived later in Rome. So I would follow the version given by the source called Historia Augusta, collection of late Roman biographies of late Roman emperors. Of course, I know that many details given in this strange work, many historical details are fake or debatable, but some of them are not. And in my opinion, Aurelian didn't have any business in liquidation of Zenobia. But okay, Mr. Paul Vane decided to tell to us that most likely Zenobia didn't survive, that during the journey from Syria to Rome as a prisoner of war of Aurelian, she committed a suicide because she didn't want to be exposed in Rome in the triumphal march of the victorious Aurelian and later killed. And another feature of this book, which is typical to French historian, now I will recall the quotation of my favorite Colombian philosopher Nicolas Gomez Davila, that when one reads the works of French historians, one has impression that the history of the world is only addition to the history of France. This work also fits to this statement, because when Mr. Vane can, he always recalls some parallel events from the Roman Gaul, or he compares his heroes of his book he's writing about to Vercingetorix, so leader of the Gallic rebellion against Julius Caesar. And he also this I'm surprised, because he claims that there is also another possibility that Zenobia could finish like Vercingetorix, so it means that after the triumphal march of the Aurelian, she could have been decapitated. It's quite surprising that such great historian makes such error, because we know that in most cases the leaders of the defeated nations of tribes that were shown to the Roman population during triumphal march as the, I would say, spoils for the Roman nation and state captured by the great leader were in most cases killed by garrote, not by decapitation, but okay, it happens. And what I really like also in this book is a great description of the Palmyrian art. Especially there is a nice fragment dedicated to the famous funerary portraits of Palmyra that are not so realistic, but in terms of presenting the facial features of the dead persons they were supposed to represent, but they have some interesting artistic features that make them so popular and desirable for many museums around the world. That's why this work is very nice, it's worth reading, written with passion, as a tribute to the friend from a friend. And it really gives some positive value and spices to this work. All the best, have a nice day, bye.